Hi, this is Rick Frederick reviewing a paper by Poole and Bruck, 2012, Divining Testimony, the Impact of Interviewing Props on Children's Reports of Touching. This is well worth a read. It's a review article and an opinion article. I would say it's an informed opinion article in which the opinions are closely tied to research findings. The takeaway is that available research does not give us much confidence that props are the best solutions to challenges in interviewing children to obtain information or forensic information about what happened. In other words, the validity and reliability of that information is not well established. Some interviewers believe that children need special props to get reliable reports, and so they are readily used. The most commonly used props are anatomical dolls and human figure drawings. As late as 25 to 30 years ago, the American Professional Society on the Abuse of Children advised that the dolls should not be used as a diagnostic test. Why? Because there's so many false positive reports in the use of the dolls and figures. You get children to say things that never happened when using these props, and so it's not a diagnostic test for children to point to things and say they were touched there. They're particularly problematic with limited vocabulary, 5 years or younger. The emphasis, according to the authors, is you should really develop developmentally sensitive ways to interview children that encourage verbal reports that don't involve object cues. And these can be as simple as getting sufficient rapport and including a warm-up phase before the actual interview to encourage children to talk. 49% of recent RATAC interviews use dolls, which is surprising, but RATAC uses dolls and human drawings, with the caveat, the supposed caveat that interviewers use dolls only with children who can make the representational shift. So this is a big sticking point: is, are children really able to make a representational shift that allows them to point to an object to say what happened to them? A lot of reasons to question whether children can do this. Again, this is a review article. The authors did not find that incremental validity or there was any increase in validity from adding diagrams to an interview. And not just there's no increase in validity, but there's an increase in potential for false positive reports. So, and this is true for children that are young, but not just in preschool. Body diagrams, according to the authors, are not developmentally more appropriate than dolls. And children often find it challenging to accurately reproduce events on diagrams. I think, I have a slide coming up here, but again, the authors emphasize that what should happen is that interviewers should be developmentally sensitive. They tend to see the props as a substitute for better training to develop the skill. So front-loading interviews with technique that encourage sensitive disclosures means talking to them in language, developing rapport, and not just jumping to a prop to move the interview forward. Interestingly, in a recent study, maybe it wasn't recent, the majority of 5 to 7-year-olds could not accurately touch a bodygram to reproduce being touched on the elbow. So a lot of concerns about using props. And the real question that a person should ask if they're using props is, what is not just the history of using this or the acceptance of using this, but where's the evidence that this is a valid technique? If you can answer that question, then your use of the props is understandable. If you can't answer that question, say, well, this is what I was taught or this is what people do, then it's worth diving into this article to figure out what actually might be true. Thank you.